Welcome to the topic Transport and Communication. Transport. This is the physical carriage and movement of goods and people from one place to another. Communication, on the other hand, is the whole process of transmitting or exchanging information between persons. By the end of the session, you should be able to differentiate between transport and communication. Modes of transport. The modes of transport refer to the way or manner in which goods or people move. These include land transport, water transport, and air transport. We shall discuss each of the modes starting with land transport. Land transport. Land transport involves the following: human and animal transport, road transport, railway transport, and pipeline. Land transport. To understand transport, we shall start with human and animal transport. Human beings carry light goods on their heads, backs, shoulders, or their hands. Domesticated animals like oxen, horses, camels, donkeys can carry goods on their backs, known as pack animals, or pull loaded carts as draught animals. Human and animal transport has the following advantages: it is affordable, readily available, it is safe, environment friendly, no pollution, and complementary to other means. However, they have few disadvantages: insecurity of goods, low speed, therefore causing delays, limited carrying capacity, and can obstruct other road users, especially in urban areas. Road transport. This is the most widely used mode of transport. There are various classes of roads according to their quality and level of development. They are all-weather roads, dry-weather roads, and motor-able track. However, road transport experiences some disadvantages as follows: traffic congestion and jams, uneconomical due to limited carrying capacity compared to railway. They are prone to accidents due to poor state of vehicles of roads. Road transport can be affected by weather, heavy rains and foggy conditions, leading to poor visibility, and earth roads become impassable during wet season. Vehicles cause air pollution by emitting exhaust fumes. Flexibility. However, road transport experiences some disadvantages as follows: traffic congestion and jams, uneconomical due to limited carrying capacity compared to railway. They are prone to accidents due to poor state of vehicles of roads. Road transport can be affected by weather, In conclusion, we look at the major intercontinental highways of Africa, which shows the importance of roads connecting African countries. Another type of land transport is railway system. In railway transport, people use trains which move on laid-out rails. The use of railways is less extensive in Africa as shown on the map. The railway transport offers the following advantages: the large capacity and low transport cost, reliability and efficiency. The railway transport offers the following advantages. Reliability and efficiency. This arises from fixed schedules used by trains. Some developed countries. Comfort. This is realized during the transportation of people where the accommodation is provided. Reliability and efficiency. This arises from fixed schedules used by trains. Some developed countries have electrified railway systems which move people very fast. Economical in terms of space. Rails occupy a narrow land space. Smooth flow of the traffic without congestion or jam. This is so because only one train moves on a track at a time. Comfort. This is realized during the transportation of people where the accommodation is provided for passengers. Trains are less prone to accidents than motor vehicles. Continuous service. Railway transport is not easily affected by weather conditions. Low maintenance cost once built. Railways do not require frequent repairs or relaying. Despite the many advantages of railway transport, there are few disadvantages of railway transport. Low speed. Railway transport is generally slow and unsuitable for perishable goods. Uneconomical. Initial construction cost is high. Inflexibility. It is inflexible since once the rails are laid, they remain fixed, therefore, door-to-door service is not available. They also operate on fixed schedule. Uneven distribution of railway line. The railway transport is selective in favor of economically productive regions and unlike roads. Varied railway gauge. Interconnection between countries using different gauges is impossible, leading to transshipments of goods. Terrain. Railway lines have to be built in relatively level ground as trains cannot climb steep slopes and negotiate corners. Trains can only move on rails after completion of construction work and like roads. Dependent on other means of transport, since door-to-door services cannot be provided and the journey is usually completed by road. Pipeline. Pipeline is a means of movement of many fluids and gases through pipes. These pipes are manufactured to prevent corrosion and leakages. Pipeline transport is least distributed in the world. In Kenya, the oil distributed extends from Mombasa through Nairobi to Kisumu and to Eldoret. The pipeline system has the following advantages. Constant supply. They allow continuous flow and supply with minimum stopover or congestion and therefore the fastest means of transporting fluids. Reliable and convenient. Highly inflammable products like petroleum are secure from fires and theft, especially those laid underground. Low operating costs. The cost of operating and maintaining is low. Minimal labor is required, therefore less expenses on salary and wages. Unaffected by weather. Pipelines are not vulnerable to bad weather conditions like heavy rains, storms, fog, and extreme temperature changes. Limited pollution. Pollution, which is very rare, may occur in case of leakages from the pipes. Flexibility. Pipelines can be laid on both water surface and land. Pipeline transport has also its own disadvantages. The following are disadvantages of pipeline transport. Selectivity. Pipeline can only be used for only one type of fluids at a time. Leakages. In case of any leakage, heavy losses are incurred, which may lead to environmental pollution. Permanence. Rerouting of the product is impossible and other means like roads have to be used. Insecurity. This may be experienced in case of internal or external sabotage. Heavy initial capital outlay. This is incurred in purchasing special pipes and pumping machinery. Water transport. Water transport comprises all movement of goods and people over waterways. The waterways fall into two categories, namely sea and inland waterways. For this session, we shall get started by discussing sea waterways. Sea waterways. Sea water transport involves movement of people and goods connecting countries and continents with seaports all over the world. The main vessels used in sea transport include liners and trams. Liners are ships which operate along fixed routes on fixed time schedules and have a fixed rate of freight charges. There are two types of liners, passenger liners and cargo. Some cargo liners carry specialized goods and have special design, especially oil tankers. Trams are cargo ships that are meant for transporting cargo without fixed route or schedule. They charge lower freight charges. Containers. The sea transport has been modernized with the development of refrigeration facilities which enable transportation for perishable goods for longer distances. On the other hand, containerization, where goods are packed in standard steel metal containers, sealed at the port of origin and unsealed at the destination, is a milestone in shipping industry. This is because containerization saves a lot of time in loading and offloading of containers. It is economical in terms of space because it allows tight packing of containers. The safety and security of the goods is ensured, and they are easy to handle in loading and offloading. The well-marked sea routes are influenced by the availability of ocean terminals for refueling, the main trading activities among various regions, and absence of physical barriers like coral reefs, which may hamper safe shipping. The major concentration of these routes is concentrated in the Northern Hemisphere due to high degree of industrialization, intensive trading, high population, and development of port. There are 6 major world sea routes. Panama Canal Sea Route connects the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean between North America and South America. Cape of Good Hope Sea Route connects western coast of Africa, Southeast Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. North Pacific Sea Route connects the eastern coast of Asia and western North America. North Atlantic Sea Route links or connects western Europe to eastern North America. Rivers. Rivers that are navigable permit a smooth movement of vessels, for example, boats. Some navigable rivers are part of River Congo, River Nile from Uganda to Khartoum, River Ogooué in Gabon, and upper sections of River Niger. Some of inland waterways are found on lakes. Lake Victoria forms the largest waterway in East Africa, serving Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania in the movement of goods and passengers. Other lakes that are significant in inland transport include Lake Tanganyika, Malawi, and Albert. They serve the Eastern Africa and other parts of Africa. Canal Transport. A canal is a water channel that cuts through land for boats or ships to travel along. Examples of canals are Suez Canal, which joins the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and Panama Canal, linking Caribbean Sea with the Pacific Ocean. There are also some canals constructed alongside some rivers to bypass waterfalls and SAD. For example, Jonglei Canal joins the town of Bor to Malakal, thus bypassing the SAD. One of the successful cases of inland waterways is seen on the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. St. Lawrence Seaway is the world's longest and busiest inland waterway, stretching for over 360 kilometers. The inland waterway was developed through the cooperation of Canada and USA. The two countries set out to remove the natural shortcomings which interfered with navigability by constructed canals to join lakes, constructed dams to solve the problem of rapids and waterfalls, deepened shallow sections of the seaway to accommodate large fishing vessels, rocky islands and bottlenecks were blasted, provided icebreakers during the winter season, installed the radar system to allow navigation during foggy weather, and rocks were also constructed to raise water levels in the lakes at intervals. The role of the seaway in the economies of Canada and USA. Increase the volume of trade between Canada and USA and the rest of the world, since ocean-going ships can sail from the Atlantic to the interiors of North America. Wheat, timber, industrial products and iron ore from North America are exported to many parts of the world. Hydroelectric power production. The dams constructed along Seaway of Niagara Falls generate hydroelectric power for industrial and domestic development of lake, port, and towns. Increased transport activities along the route, growth of agricultural activities, and industrial activities led to the growth of many lake, ports, and towns, such as Duluth on Lake Superior, Chicago on Lake Michigan, Buffalo on Lake Erie, and Toronto on Lake Ontario. Source of foreign income. The Niagara Falls and the entire Seaway form a special tourist attraction on the Seaway, earning a lot of foreign exchange. The last mode of transport we shall discuss is air transport. Air transport refers to the movement of people and goods using aircraft like aeroplane, helicopters, and hot air balloons. Air transport is operated either as international when it links countries or domestic when the transport services are within the country's border. For this mode of transport to be used, airports are built. Airports facilitate the landing, take-off, fueling, loading and offloading, boarding and disembarking of passengers. The movement of aeroplanes in and out of the airport is closely controlled from a control tower. The development of air transport is least seen in the developing countries because of high cost of operation and high technological know-how required. It is also very expensive to build the airport and buy the aeroplanes. The following countries have developed major airports: Disadvantages. However, air transport has the following disadvantages: expensive. The initial capital outlay for buying an aeroplane and establishing a well-equipped airport is very high. Maintenance and operating cost is very high. This limits the use of aeroplanes even in domestic flights. Requires highly trained personnel. A transport requires highly trained with high technical expertise in the control and operation of aircraft. High-risk accidents because very few passengers survive the accident and the aircraft is usually destroyed. Affected by weather changes. Weather changes such as thick fog, storms, thick snow can hamper navigation of aircraft. Uneven distribution. The physical condition of construction of airports are restrictive. Therefore, even distribution of the airports is difficult and other forms of transport are required to complement it. Inflexibility. The scope of services is limited and does not offer door-to-door services. Types of communication. There are three main types of communication used in transmission of information, which includes verbal communication, written communication, audio-visual, and telecommunication services. We now discuss each one of them. Verbal communication. It involves two parties, the speaker and the listener. Written communication. This is where the message or ideas are conveyed through writing. There is a sender and a receiver. The written message is then transported either by air, road, or railway. Audio-visual. This includes sending messages using combination of sound, signs, and pictures for effective communication. It takes place when one can see and hear. Some traditional communication methods are still in use. Use of gestures, shouting in a special way, and use of smoke. Mobility of labor, the development of types of communication. There are three main types of communication used in transmission of information: audio-visual. This written, verbal communication, audio-visual. This includes sending messages using combination of sound, signs, and pictures for effective communication. It takes place when one can see and hear. Some traditional communication methods are still in use. Use of gestures, shouting in a special way, and use of smoke. Telecommunication services. Telecommunication means communicating over distance by telephone using either cables or wireless means. In Kenya, the following services are available: telephone services through landline and mobile phones. Telex. The written messages are typed in one place where they are typed out by a teleprinter. The improvement of the telex is the electronic mail or email, where the computers linked to a telecommunication network send and receive information at a high speed. The efficiency of the email depends on the development of the internet in a country. Transport and communication impact on the economic development of any given country because they promote the local and foreign trade. The specific areas of economic development that are affected by transport and communication are trade, industrialization, mobility of labor, international understanding, implementation of government policies, development of settlements, employment, and exploitation of natural resources. We now discuss areas that we have mentioned. Trade. Trade has expanded at a high rate since a variety of goods and services are exchanged easily using land, water, and air transport. Also, more goods produced in one region are taken to non-productive areas, promoting regional specialization. Modern transport and communication means enable traders to move their products to market centers where the demand is high. Telecommunication services enhance business transaction without delays. This has accelerated the growth of trade in many countries. More industries are established in areas of countries with efficient means of transport and communication, where raw materials and finished products can reach market cheaply and faster. In developing countries, industries are concentrated in urban centers where means of transport and communication are well developed. Mobility of labor. The development of transport and communication systems has made the world a global village. Many people move and work in towns and different countries, reducing case of labor shortage, therefore promoting industrialization and improving service delivery. International understanding. Development of transport and communication has increased human contact, promoting understanding among people worldwide. This has enhanced exchange of ideas, promoted appreciation of other people's culture, strengthening global peace, which is vital for economic development. Implementation of government policies. Transport and communication are necessary for dissemination of government policies, services, and exploitation of natural resources. Development of settlements. Many settlements have grown where transport routes converge. For example, Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, developed at the confluence of Blue Nile and White Nile. Another example is Makutano in Meru. Employment. There are many transport and communication services which create employment opportunities. For example, drivers, pilots, engineers, mechanics, journalists, computer programmers, and satellite officers. Exploitation of natural resources. Availability of transport and communication opens up remote areas for economic activities such as mining, fishing, tourism, and trading. Physical limitations of transport and communication. Physical limitations include landlocked countries, inhabited land, thick vegetation, and topographical limitations. Physical limitations. Landlocked countries. A number of Africa countries are landlocked, that is, they have no direct link to the sea and have to rely on neighboring countries, for example, Uganda for exports and imports. This can present problems due to high toll charges and delays, especially if the roads are poor in transit countries or there is a poor relation. Landlocked countries need to maintain good relations among the nations through which they access the sea. There is need to establish a transport network across different countries by road, railway, and air. For example, Tanzam Railway, that is Tanzania-Zambia Railways, Uganda is linked to other international airports like Jomo Kenyatta Airport. Topographical limitations. Some countries have steep, rugged mountainous relief, for example, around Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, Cameroon and the Rift Valley. This makes the establishment of transport routes difficult and very expensive. Heavy rains can wash away roads and railways, interrupting movements. Some of the rivers are innavigable due to rapids and waterfalls and are swift-flowing, shallow rocky riverbeds and fluctuating volume of water in rivers. Topographical problems present a lot of challenging situations, some which are being tackled by constructing tunnels through ridges across rivers and valleys, canals to bypass swamps, damming of rivers to swallow rapids. Inhabited land. Areas with harsh environmental conditions, for example, desert, are inhabited and